in the following program are those of the participants and do not necessarily reflect those of Rogers or Rogers TV.
Oh, hi, it's Rapture. How are you? You're watching Into It with Real Estate, the hottest real estate show in the world. That's right, I said it. I don't care who knows it. This is a call-in show. 905-595-5483 is the number to call. We've got a treat tonight. David Sassy Alfasi is here with us on the show. David Alfasi is a real estate agent, broker, salesperson extraordinaire. Tons of deals, but lots of knowledge in for the people. Peel Region, you don't want to miss this. Like always, we go to you, we give you a question to answer. So we'll go there now. Last week, the question was simply, and I'll just wait for that to come on the screen. And of course, this week we have one for you as well. But never mind, we'll go back there later. David is here. David, it's great to have you on the show.
Thank you.
Thanks for being here, coming all the way from, you know, I think it's a whole 20-minute drive for you, but we haven't seen each other in such a long time.
It's been a while.
I remember the first time I met you. Do you remember? We were at a seminar, and I don't know who was doing it. Maybe it was Chris Leader or something like that. And you came in with shorts and a tank top, and I kind of had a bit of I have to admit, I had a man crush. I had a little bit of man crush. I was like, who's this guy with the nice teeth and you know, nice haircut? How you been? That was years ago.
Years ago, man.
And
wow.
then when we were in York Region, we were doing this show. So you've come on. I think this is maybe your third time on the show. I can't remember.
Second time.
Second time?
Second time. First time was with Howard, and now second time, yeah.
Okay, and so things are good?
Things are great, man. Business is good. Life is beautiful. No complaints. Happy to see you.
Yes, happy to see you as well. So when I asked you, David, what do you think we should talk about? You said the new age realtor.
Yep.
You know, there's things that are happening, and that's not just for, you know, for the realtors that are watching, because many do, but this is for the buyer, the seller, the investor. Things are changing, and they're changing fast.
They are.
What are your thoughts on that here in the GTA Peel region? You know, knowledge sometimes can mess us up, but when it comes to money, knowledge is a good thing, and things that are happening so quickly, we can't keep up with it all. So what do you think of that? What are your suggestions? What can the person at home do, you know, other than find a great guy like David to connect with?
Well, the market is changing. The market's changing rapidly, and I think the successful realtors are the ones that are adapting to the change. Most importantly, you know, agents now have to be a little bit more dynamic in their approach. You've got these discount brokerages that you're competing with, and it's such a competitive industry. So I think what my feeling on the new age realtor is bringing somebody that has the knowledge, the experience, the technology, and is embracing everything and trying to make things a little bit more accessible for their clients. And I think if you could do that, you're going to have a pretty decent career in the business. So
what about, I mean, I've never heard you say anything unkind about anyone. You have a very warm heart and benevolent one as well. But what would you say then to these part-time guys that, you know, they do some construction, or they're a fireman, they got some time off, they have lots of friends and family, and they go get their real estate license? Is that something that people should run from? Or do we, hey, it's up to you, and we give these guys a bit of a break? What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I don't think there's anything wrong with being a realtor and being a part-time realtor. I think it all depends on what you do and how you do it. And so I would never discredit anybody for having a second job. I know that you know, the common theme out there is if you're not full-time, don't move forward with that agent. I don't think so. I think it depends on what the realtor brings to the table. I think knowledge is imperative, and I think if you have the ability, then you should be given an opportunity. I don't think that part-time realtors should be discounted at any level.
Sure.
Yeah.
But generally speaking, because you said something there that maybe can't happen. I don't want to be so naive and, you know, be so narrow, but what you said was knowledge is key. So somebody's got to, in today's day, they've got to have lots of knowledge. They've got to have a web presence. They've got to, you know, the new age realtor.
Sure.
And so if you're part-time, can you really, you know, have an abundance of knowledge, can you really master the internet? Can you really, it'd be probably pretty difficult.
It's difficult, and I'm sure that the probability is a lot less likely that somebody part-time can be as successful because the industry is very demanding.
Yeah.
And if you're on the top of your game, you'd understand that.
Yeah.
But I wouldn't say never, ever.
No.
There's always a possibility.
Absolutely. And another thing is, you know, you've been in the business for a while. I've been in the business for a while, but we started together.
We did.
You are with the largest independent brokerage in all of the nation.
I am.
I think over 2,500 agents, 2,600 agents. You're the #1 agent amongst that. So technically, you're the #1 agent in the nation for the independent brokerage world, but you did start somewhere. And so if David Alfasi was watching this show and 2 other guys were on here, would we say never give the newbie a shot? No, we would say give the newbie a shot because we were newbies.
Sure.
But what are we looking for in that newbie?
So basically, the most important thing at being new in real estate would be knowledge. I mean, you have to get the foundation and the background, and you have to pretty much know what you're talking about.
Continual knowledge as well.
It's a challenge, and a lot of people don't want to give newbies the chance, but newbies tend to have a little bit more time on their hand. They're willing to do things that maybe some of the more seasoned veterans are not willing to do. They'll door knock and phone call, and they'll do all the little things. And I would think that hiring a newbie isn't, you know, a disadvantage. I think it can be a huge advantage. It just depends on the person. It depends on what they're willing to offer, how hard they're willing to work, and quite frankly, their motivation and drive. I think if you combine everything, you got the package.
Yeah, and if they have a good coach, I know you're building a team.
Yep.
And you bring young guys on or young gals on to your team to help do business. And so if they've got a good trainer that's willing to invest in them, all that kind of good stuff, then of course it can happen. I think the stats are, though, over 5 years, you know, 90% of realtors kind of drop out because it's a hard business. Either you're doing well or you're not. People have to entrust in you, and let's talk a little bit about that, what we should be looking for when we're looking for, you know, a realtor to help us out. Did I tell you it's great to have you on the show?
Absolutely.
Thanks for being here.
Thank
You're
you.
watching In Tune with Real Estate. 905-595-5483 is the number to call. We're talking to David Alfasi. We'll be right back. Don't go anywhere. In Tune with Real Estate continues in a moment.
The opinions expressed in the following program are those of the participants and do not necessarily reflect those of Rogers or Rogers TV.
Hi, it's Rav Tour. You're watching In Tune with Real Estate. Thanks for watching. 905-595-5483 is the number to call. Please call. I'd love to hear your voice, Peel Region. You can sing me a song, some poetry, all that kind of good stuff. We've got David Alfasi on the show. We're talking about everything real estate, the new age realtor, what you need to know to create wealth in real estate, buying, selling, investing. Before we do that, we have a polling question like we have every week for you. We're going to put that up on the screen. And the question last week that we asked you, and we're going to see how you answered, was, have you been satisfied with the home inspectors you've used in the past? 90% of you, I can't even read that. Is that 50% of you said yes, 50% said no? Okay, so all right, we're not doing that hot in the home inspection world. David will talk about that in a second. This week's question, is the agent's commission, is it the most relevant factor in deciding upon hiring a realtor? Nice one. Go to the website, A for yes, B for no. So Dave, let's talk a little bit about the marriage between the realtor and the home inspector. Our good friend, our mutual friend Howard was guest hosting for me on the show last week, and there was a home inspector on it. You know, they kind of teach us in real estate school, let the buyer choose their own, don't get involved. I 100% disagree. If you trust me, you're going to trust my people, my mortgage broker, my lawyer. It's still up to you, but I absolutely, because I care for you, I'm going to recommend. What are your thoughts? You could think differently. What are your thoughts on that when it comes to the home inspector that is helping your client out?
Yeah, no, I agree with you. I think it's part of our due diligence to at least recommend a couple. I don't push anybody on anyone. However, I've dealt with quite a few home inspectors, and it's an industry that's unregulated, so sometimes you can end up with an inspector that might not be as well-versed in finding latent defects. And so I always recommend 2 or 3 different people and leave it up to my clients to choose. But yeah, absolutely. I think it's imperative to pick an inspector, help choose an inspector for a client. It's part of our job.
And I think, rather than my cousin Vinny just writing it down on a business card and, with a hammer on the, they actually have a kind of a body now that the good ones, the ethical ones join, right? The Ontario Home Inspectors Association or something. Is that the kind of ones that you always, it's a must for you?
Yes. So the 2 or 3 that I recommend are insured, they're bonded, they have different certifications, wet certified, mold certified. I try to get people that I've worked with that I trust, and irrespective of whether it comes back good or bad, it's inspectors that are well versed in the game. And so that's who I refer my clients to.
Okay. One of the questions there for this week, though, was we were talking about commissions. And I hope you don't mind you being somebody who feeds your family. Your beautiful son, your 7-year-old boy.
He is.
You live on commissions. It's not like you get a salary plus commissions. Actually, it's the opposite. You not only are on commissions, but you also pay monthly dues to your brokerage and so on and so forth.
Yes.
The kind of in our area, the Peel region, Mississauga, maybe a little dipping into Vaughan, predominantly still 4.5%, 5% a realtor would charge the seller. So on an average home of $400,000, $500,000, let's take $400 to make it easy, 5%, that's 20 grand plus GST that everybody thinks that David puts all of it right into his pocket. A lot of money. And so you can see why there's a lot of people there that kind of want to go to discount brokerages, want to stick the for sale sign on their lawn, for sale by owner. Kind of what are your thoughts? Justify the commissions that you would charge David Alfasi. I'm not asking you to justify 35,000 realtors' commissions, but justify your commission.
Well, first of all, the commission that you're speaking about is shared, with usually the bigger portion going to the cooperating broker. So the buyer's agents are the ones that are really taking a much larger portion of that commission.
So most people think that because David is listing Rav's house, that David's going to find the buyer and keep all the money. But that happens 1% of the time. I mean, do we have a stat on that?
2 to 3%
is
the last I...
So most of the time, David is, I guess, marketing my home to other agents who bring the buyers, and then you're saying that at least 2.5% or more goes to that agent, so you don't even keep that. So now we're talking less than 2.5%, which is 10 grand on my $400,000 house. Okay.
Which, from that 10 grand, you pay brokerage fees and you pay marketing fees. And depending on the agent, marketing fees vary. I know with myself, we invest quite heavily in marketing and technology, and it costs a pretty penny. Now, it's effective, but it's expensive. And so
maybe 20%, like maybe of the 10 grand, couple grand goes to brokerage and your websites and marketing, that kind of thing?
Probably a little bit more than that.
Okay.
So
you're with about $7,000 we're left with, plus the government.
Plus the government.
Takes their 20, 30 or more percent.
40, 50.
40, 50%. So what David's saying then is, Rav, do I really need to justify my 3 grand for selling your $400,000 house?
Well, yes, and
the answer is no. You don't have to justify it.
No, sometimes you do, and sometimes vendors will ask you, and it gets competitive. And you know, commissions are very funny. Agents are like vehicles. There's all different types of makes and models and features. At the end of the day, you want to find an agent that's reasonable, that's going to work hard, that has a reputation, that embraces technology, and that charges a reasonable commission. Yeah. I think anybody charging a little bit too less or too low, you want to raise an eyebrow, because you're going to, you know, wonder what they're doing for their money. Sure. And, you know, paying 5-6%, the days of that might be over.
I'm totally out of the business. If I was interviewing an agent to sell my house and he couldn't negotiate his commission,
right?
Why would I think he could negotiate the sale of my house?
It's a great point,
right?
And so that's a very, very.
And the other thing is correct me if I'm wrong. You spend this money, you don't get paid. I'm not paying you until my house is sold.
That's right.
And so I remember I was a guest on a show downtown. It was between me and one of these discount guys, you know, I think it was called Property Guys or something like that. Those people are getting paid their $500 to $1,000, which is a lot cheaper than their 10 or whatever it is.
Sure.
But they're paying out that money regardless if the home sells or not.
That's right.
And so I think that's another thing to consider for the viewers that are watching, that our realtors don't get paid unless the house sells.
They produce, yeah. It's a results-oriented business, and you don't get results, you don't get paid. And so that's something to keep in mind. Property Guys and the